Morning coffee with the boys. The boys.
Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Coffee with the Boys. I got Landon and Cody sitting right here next to me, and you may be wondering to yourselves, why exactly did us three random guys that you barely know decide to start a podcast? And well, let me tell you something, we really don't know either. We just kind of went out on a limb and decided to give it a try and see how it goes. So I got Landon here.
Hey, what's up?
And we got Cody sitting over here.
How's it going?
And so we're just going to start by kind of talking about how our summers have gone so far. And I got to say, mine has been really freaking boring. I've done nothing but work and play and get ready for the next semester of college. Landon and Cody, on the other hand, here have had some better summer stories going. So we're going to get started. We'll start with Landon, and he'll tell us about how his summer went.
So really, one of the only things I've done this summer, I went to Myrtle Beach for about 4 days. It was your normal beach trip. Really nothing much, mini golf, ice cream, swimming, car accidents, the normal stuff. The car accident wasn't anything major. We weren't actually involved at all. It was the cars behind us, but still, very interesting night, to say the least. Other than that trip, I just graduated high school.
Big achievement.
Yeah, on to bigger and bigger.
Worse from here.
That's good to know. On to bigger and better things. So, Cody, tell us about your summer.
Well, aside from work, I went on my own beach trip. First time I've ever been to the beach myself. We went to Virginia Beach. Went for about a week, and gotta say, it was fun. But I don't know if I'm necessarily a beach guy.
Oh yeah, why not?
I don't. You ever think to yourself, just how much sand is too much sand?
Not really.
Well, neither have I. But I got the answer to my question.
To kind of back you up on your little sand argument there, I haven't been on a vacation in quite a few years, but the last time I would say I went on like a true vacation was the summer before my freshman year of high school. We went to a little place called Ocean City, Maryland. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you mentioned how much sand is too much sand. Is that what you... Yeah, I can kind of agree with you. I mean, I enjoy the beach a lot. I think it's a nice, relaxing place to go. But the sand it's a hassle.
Yeah, I mean, there's just... You get sand everywhere. I mean, it
everywhere.
No, you do. I got back, and I'm not going to lie. I shook my pants out, and literally, I probably had enough sand in there to build a fucking sand. Enough sand to build a sandcastle. Let me tell you,
Wow,
that was a lot of sand.
What you kind of reminded me of when you're sitting here complaining about sand. Actually, you haven't seen the Star Wars movies, have you?
I've seen. I haven't seen any of them in their entirety. No.
There's a scene in the second Star Wars movie, Clone Wars, and Anakin, the main protagonist of the film, is literally complaining about sand. There's like a scene where he's like, it's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere, and he's like complaining about it. And it's just the funniest scene ever because it's like the most delivered like line of dialogue I've ever heard in my life, because
but I mean, it's completely relatable. I mean, the amount of sand that you track back from the beach is insane. I don't know if I'm the only person with this problem. I would assume there are a lot of people that have the same issue. But I mean, it's just a hassle. There's sand everywhere, and to be honest, the week we went, it wasn't very sunny. It rained a good deal of the time. I mean, my favorite part, as awful and as lonely as it makes me sound, my favorite part was finding a set of Doctor Who plates and bowls at Busch Gardens. I mean, really. We went to Busch Gardens. I go in to a gift shop in the England section because they're all the whole park is segmented into like different countries. You've got
So it's kind of like the Epcot ball, where they have, if you know what I'm talking about.
yes, but less interesting. I mean, like, okay, so you've got like England, you've got like France, something called New France, which I'm assuming is like basically Canada because Canada was settled by the French.
So why don't they just call it Canada?
Because if they called it Canada, then it wouldn't be extra. You know, you got to be
Oh.
extra.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So, you know, so we're in England, we're getting ready to leave, and I told my mom and my dad, I said, you know, I want to go to a gift shop to get something before we leave. So we walk into this gift shop in England because, you know, I thought it looked interesting because they're all, you know, architecturally, you know, styled by the different countries. And so I walk in, and in the corner of the shop is a section of Doctor Who merchandise. And so I'm looking through it. You know, they've got some cups, they got some mugs, and then I see them. Bowls and plates. And the clouds parted. And I look on the back, and the price says $8.99.
Oh.
Well, let me tell you something. You ain't gonna find that for much cheaper. Let me tell you, as someone who has bought a good deal of Doctor Who merchandise in his time, that's cheap.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, very.
You know, that actually kind of brings a point to my mind. You're talking about even me and Cody especially, not so much. Well, Landon hasn't really at all, but me and Cody recently have been getting really into vinyl. So for about the past 6 or 7 months, I'd say probably around the New Year is when we first started getting really into it. And me and Cody have been really Haskins' house in Portsmouth has been a really good place for us to go. But usually, if you want like really good deals, you can just check eBay.
Well, every time we've went down recently, they've been closed. You know, I don't know what the deal with that is. So I've just been going to Ghost in the Attic, and you know, I found some good stuff there. I found quite a few Nat King Cole albums. I found a big Reader's Digest Mills Brother collection. It had about 6 records. You know, and I mean that's like, you know, 7-8 songs per side. That's like 50 some, you know, songs. And you know how much I paid for it?
How much?
Like less than $10. I mean, you just can't. I mean,
Pretty
seriously,
cheap.
some of it is.
For those of you who aren't really, you know, big vinyl collectors, it can be a pretty good. A lot of newer artists still make vinyl copies of like the records,
Yeah.
and
Kind of.
now like recently, I mean the newer vinyls are still pretty expensive. I don't know, Landon, do you don't have a record player or anything, do you?
No, I don't. I am not a vinyl collector myself, but I have noticed that newer vinyls typically seem to be a lot more expensive. You know, I've noticed that newer vinyls can be anywhere from like $25. I've even seen some for like $40, whereas a lot of these more antique vinyls are like less than $10.
Well, that depends entirely on the album itself. I know a really popular album, you know, Sinatra's In the Wee Small Hours. You know, if you want an original copy, you're looking to shell out, you know, depending on who's selling it, you know, you could shell out, you know, 60, 70. I've seen some on eBay, you know, go for, you know, $100, maybe even more.
$100 for
I'm
Sinatra
serious.
Small Wee.
It is a very good, you know, I take, you know, I'll give it to you. That was a good one.
Thank you.
But it is a very good album. And I feel like I am attacked.
No. You feel free to pursue Sinatra and all of his albums.
Hey, but you know what they say about the impotent Irish, right?
No.
They have wee-wee-wees.
All right.
So yeah, to kind of wrap up the whole conversation about vinyls, and Frank Sinatra's. Yeah, if you're looking for a good thing, if you're really into music and collecting stuff, a good thing, especially like older music like 80s, 70s, 60s, things like that. Vinyl tends to be
40s, 30s.
yeah, 40s, 30s, 20s if you're a really old man.
20s would come
Cody.
Yeah, if you're a really old man or Cody, then 30s and 20s, whatever kind of music you're into, typically vinyl, unless it's like newer modern music, typically vinyl is a good way to go. It's a good cheap option if you don't want to buy like CDs, which if you go to like Walmart and stuff like that, I wouldn't recommend it because Walmart does sell vinyls, but they tend to be really expensive. And even you can buy like regular CDs of older albums, like Michael Jackson CDs and Nat King Cole CDs, if those are a thing.
I don't know if they are, but I don't know if I've seen them at Walmart.
You can go to Walmart and they're like $20 for the CD, but then you get on like eBay and the actual vinyls are like $5.
Well,
depending on what it is.
Here's what I've got to say about that. Certain things kind of go in a trend, so some things become trendy, the hipsters, with their
I take offense
what
to that.
they with the hipsters with their wheatgrass juices and whatnot. Vinyl's been making a resurgence, and I think a large part of the hike in price and the price difference between vinyl and CDs is just due to the fact that there's a novelty with vinyl, something that you can't get with CDs. Like, as cliched as it sounds, there is something intriguing about putting the album on the platter, getting that thing revved up, and putting that needle on, and just hearing those cracks. You can't get that with CDs.
That's like the thing you mentioned is very interesting. That's about trends, because I've noticed that CDs, like, they're almost becoming what vinyl used to be, like, or cassettes even.
Because you got digital.
Cassettes are making a comeback too.
Yeah, and the
CDs,
odd thing is,
not so much. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, the odd thing is, I think we're seeing something that our parents saw whenever cassette players and things like that started being excluded from cars. Like, the car that my mom drives, it doesn't even have a CD player.
Mine doesn't either. Well, I drive a 2000 Dodge Neon, so mine doesn't either.
Yeah, but my mom drives, like, a newer car, and it doesn't have a CD player. And I think that's kind of evidence of the fact that we're shifting more towards digital music and less from hard copies and things like CDs. And I think that's very interesting. And even, recently we've been working on, like, recording and producing our own music. And
are we going to produce our own vinyl albums? Is this
perhaps in the future? Look for a 3 Seconds Portsmouth vinyl coming to a Haskins house near you.
Hey, I actually have a record in my collection. It's a Green High School band album.
But the thing is, the very interesting thing is that there's a big debate about whether or not there's any drop in musical quality between formats. Like, there are a lot of people who think that the actual quality of sound is better for vinyls, and that's why they listen to them.
Like, are you talking about, like, music compression when you go from a vinyl to a digital?
Yeah. There are people who say that the music projects better. On vinyl.
You can make the argument. I don't have that quality of an ear to distinguish, the quality of the sound between. I've heard, some digital files of, some, like Ella Fitzgerald. You can hear crackles and pops in the background of some digital. So, to me, I can't really tell a difference between the quality of the audio between vinyl and digital.
Yeah, and personally, I'm not a vinyl guy, so
You need to be.
I personally think that it's a good thing that I think that the shift towards digital music is a lot better because simply because it's a lot more convenient and such.
It's a lot easier to access than vinyl.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
back in the day, they actually had portable record players. Like you could pop a 33 into your car and play it. I mean, you're going, like today, if you were to do that, you'd be going down the bypass going 70 miles an hour. I got to flip sides and bam, car wreck,
Yeah.
It's not practical today.
Right.
I'll tell you what, as a vinyl guy, I'll admit, me personally, I feel like I can tell the difference. Maybe I'm just delusional when I'm listening to a vinyl, or maybe it's just the nostalgia of it where I'm like, yeah, I can hear the difference. But maybe I am just that old man who thinks that vinyls are better.
Audiophile?
But yeah, I'm an audiophile. But I feel like I can tell the difference. It feels more. It almost.
So wait, are you in favor of vinyl or in favor of digital?
I enjoy vinyl, but I do see the compelling aspects of digital more, because in today's growing society, and everybody's just really busy. Like, I'll be honest, it's a lot easier for me to pull up YouTube and look up a song I want than go out and to Walmart or get on iTunes or something and look up a song I want and buy it, rather than go to Walmart and drive all the way out, because it's like a 30-minute drive from my house to Walmart, just to buy some music. And like the benefit of the digital stuff too is you can get specific songs. So if there's a song that you really like that's on a very specific album, you don't have to buy the whole album. Because if you go and buy a CD just for the one song, you're paying like $10-15 for the CD just to get the one song on it, when you can pay like the $2 for just the one song.
And that brings up a other like very interesting topic. It's the fact that we're also seeing a transition in how artists approach releasing music, because compared to our generation, compared to like our parents and the artists that they saw, they had artists such as like Pink Floyd and bands that were very oriented towards creating albums, and some of those albums were even telling stories throughout the entire album. So it would have been very important to listen to the entire album to completely grasp what the artist was trying to portray. And in modern society, we've kind of grown into a society that is more musically oriented towards singles rather than albums. And I think that's a very interesting thing, because especially in a market that is oversaturated with music, I feel like artists are more focused on releasing. They'll still release an album, but they'll only be focused on the 3 singles that they release prior to that album, and the rest is just kind of filler.
It's more about the number one hits now, and less about the entire album being good. Yeah.
And that's a good transition. See, this is why I don't really enjoy modern music as much as I do like older styles of music, because like Landon said, it becomes focused more on quantity rather than quality.
Yeah.
When you begin focusing on singles, and your entire career is based on this idea that the more number ones I have, the better I am, you begin to lose that depth of the music itself. Like, I'm coming back to it, but Sinatra's in the wee small hours. I mean, really, if you listen to it, it tells a story. It starts off, if you know anything about it, the album, all has to deal with his breakup with Ava Gardner.
Was she disappointed?
Before, I just want to make a note. Before we started doing this, they told me, try to lean away from those kinds of jokes, lean away from that kind of humor. But no, let's make fun of Cody's musical tastes. Sinatra's small wee. But, back to the point. It starts off, he's heartbroken, the title song in the Wee Small Hours, it talks about him like just missing her, and then as the album progresses, it tells a story of a journey. It begins with his depression and sorrow and longing to be back with the person he's lost. Then he kind of comes to grasps with what is going on in his life, and he makes a rebound and realizes that his life is better now that he can move on and continue his life. And I mean, you don't get that kind of musical journey, so to speak, in modern music. Now all you get is a bunch of bass line gibberish and maybe a couple swears thrown in here or there, and it's auto-tuned, and I don't know. That's kind of my opinion on it.
Speaking, since we're on the topic of the comeback of like vinyl and cassettes and things like that,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm waiting for to make a comeback: VHS, man.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm telling.
VHS, the ultimate medium in film. What's the word I'm looking for? Film distribution. There we go.
Yeah, man. You've never like. Have you owned a VHS before, Landon?
Yes. I will never forget my childhood memories of popping in my orange Rugrats VHS.
Oh, yes, I had that.
See, the thing about VHS is it's kind of inconvenient for the watcher because you have to go out of your way to rewind the movie every time. Because I don't know about you guys. I don't know. I don't really see it as that big of a problem, though. I've never like popped in my Scooby-Doo VHS, to go and watch it. And then my mom forgot to rewind it when my cousin watched it, and I was like, oh god, now I gotta rewind the VHS, thanks mom. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But like at the same time though, it's kind of like the nostalgic quality of VHS. It's just kind of nice.
You can draw comparisons from VHS to vinyl. Like, how audiophiles say, oh, I love to hear the static and the crackling of vinyl. Well, for someone like yourself that apparently wants VHS to make a comeback, I would think seeing, how like if you had like a VHS and it was kind of old, or and you would see the static go across the screen, you're like, oh yeah, I love that static, yeah, give me more of that.
So just a quick question for you. Since you love VHS so much, would you want to watch the
Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, would you want to watch a movie like Avengers Endgame through a crackly VHS screen?
Okay, this actually, before I answer your question, this kind of brings up something that I saw the other day. When I was going through Facebook, there was this guy who got like this really old like television set, like this really old one. I don't know, maybe it was like one of the like really old televisions that like your grandma tells you about, that she had like the big box TVs.
Oh, a box TV.
And this guy, like, I don't know, he says he spent like months like trying to figure out how to get his it was like he was setting up his Roku or like his Fire Stick or something.
On a box TV.
And it had like he had like Netflix and everything set up on it.
Yeah,
and he spent like 2 or 3 months. I shared it the other day. I'm pretty sure both of you saw it, and then I shared it last year too.
I think I've seen that before.
It popped up in my memories, and I shared it again. But he spent like months, and he claimed that like Best Buy and Walmart and like all of them told him that it was like completely impossible that he was going to be able to get his like Roku or Fire Stick to project onto this TV. And he finally got it to work. And he like took a video of it, and he was like, he like pulled up a movie or something from Netflix and started playing it on the TV, and it was kind of cool. I mean, I'm not saying VHS is like a better alternative to like DVDs or Blu-ray or going to the movie or anything, but like the nostalgic vibes, it brings back. It just kind of, and you know what?
Netflix's big announcement next month is going to be that they are now going to be delivering VHS tapes directly to your home.
I would order some of those. Okay, you know what? And to answer your question, just for fun, I would watch Avengers Endgame on VHS.
Oh,
and
we're back.
You know what? I wouldn't complain about it either, because I knew what I was signing up for. So I personally love VHS, going back, watching, the Berenstein Bears, or however you want to pronounce it.
Berenstein or Berenstain?
It's Berenstein, and anybody who says it's Berenstein is crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But
What's that effect? What's that effect?
The Mandela.
yeah, the
Mandela
Mandela effect.
Is it Mandela or Mandala?
Oh my lord.
Anyways.
Anyway, no, I personally enjoy VHS. That's just my own personal preference. You guys might hate. You guys can hate on VHS all you want, but I am a VHS fanboy. So that's all I got to say about that. Anybody, you got any closing comments about VHS tapes you guys would like to get out there?
Nope. Next topic.
Wow. So we got some interesting movies coming out soon. Speaking of movies and entertainment, and one that kind of stood out to me the other day, it doesn't come out till the end of the month, is, speaking of Avengers.
It is the end of the month.
No, I mean the end of the summer, my bad.
Oh,
But speaking of Avengers, they're re-releasing it again in theaters. And it's supposed to have some end credit scene, which a lot of people were really mad about when the movie first came out, was it didn't have an end credit scene.
It's end credit bonus content, like I guess deleted scenes maybe or something like that.
Okay.
And I personally haven't even seen Avengers Endgame. I know the spoilers, I'm not going to say them, but I personally haven't seen it yet. I don't really know if I plan to, or unless it gets put on Netflix or something. Maybe I'm just a loser who's not really into the Avengers hype.
Wait, you haven't seen it?
No.
You haven't?
No.
It is on Netflix.
No, the Infinity War.
And I also have not seen Infinity
Apologize.
War.
Apologize now.
He has never seen Endgame or Infinity War. And
I know Cash and I have probably just ticked off most of the people who are going to listen to this podcast.
You
but
ticked me off.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
thought I knew you guys.
I think next week that we might be narrowed down to 2 people, but
You never know with my blood pressure.
Anyway, yeah, they're re-releasing Avengers with the new credit scene. But going back to what I was saying earlier, I saw this movie pop up on I was going through YouTube watching probably some video of some dude making a pool with some sticks and mud in the woods or something. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, I was going through the old stick mud pool. Yeah, I was going through YouTube and an ad popped up.
There's a euphemism in there somewhere.
An ad popped up for this movie. I can't remember what it was called. I sent it to you guys, but it was had to do with this woman who was getting Ready or Not. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
And it had to do with this woman who is she's getting married to her fiance. And her family, I guess every time they get somebody in the family gets married, they hold this little game of hide and seek, but it's killer hide and seek.
Yeah.
And they hunt each other down, and in order to be a part of the family, she has to survive. So basically, it's either survive or die. So I mean,
which is the definition of survive.
Yeah, but pretty much. But I don't know. How would you guys feel? You think if you got put in a relationship and somebody was like, "Hey, I'm gonna kill you," and if yeah.
Well,
you see, that's an interesting thing.
I would say that isn't healthy to begin with.
No,
if your significant other is wanting to kill you, then
But the thing is, in the trailer, we saw that her soon-to-be husband wasn't really into the game. He was trying to help her. So, but the thing is, there's an old, it's very known that whenever you marry someone, you're also marrying their family. And
that's right.
if you spend, a whole night, the whole night prior to your wedding day, being hunted by your fiance's family, is that a family you want to marry into?
make a hell of an episode of Jerry Springer.
I think it brings you.
Jerry.
I don't see the difference between that and just a normal family reunion. You ever been to a Kentucky family reunion? Those things get wild, man.
I got no family in Kentucky, so no.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some family in West Virginia.
Yeah,
And
let's not get going on Kentucky and family reunions.
I'm
Okay,
just saying.
that leads itself to a whole slew of jokes that.
I'm just saying, there's never been a chicken hunt at a family reunion I've been to.
Yeah.
Man, you ain't been to no family reunion then, son.
No family reunion.
But I'm just saying that you think, imagine how you would feel though, if you survive. You would have to be scarred for the rest. You know what I mean?
I think that if, the second I found out, if it's the night before my wedding, and my bride's family is hey, go hide. I'm
okay.
Excuse me? Is it? I think I got cold feet. Can we cancel this wedding?
It's just like real life Fortnite. You know?
Family game night gone. Family game night Fortnite edition gone wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that could be like a family I would be comfortable with ever again.
Well, I suck at Fortnite, so.
I don't know. I think it looks like an interesting movie. I'm kind of excited for it. Definitely, it I don't know if it's more of like a meant to be more of like just a straight horror film, or if it's supposed to be kind of like a horror / comedy type of film. There's a lot of jokes thrown in the trailer, so I assume it's a horror movie based on a lot of comedy tropes. But I'm pretty excited about it. I'll probably go see it. Other than that, a couple of good other movies. Rocket Man's out. I want to see that. I haven't seen Endgame, like I said earlier, so when when that comes back out, I'll probably end up going and watching it. And I saw La La Land for the first time a couple days ago. It's been out.
First time? I thought you saw this. I thought you watched it a couple days ago.
I watched it. I watched a little bit of it a little bit after it first came out. It was put on Netflix, and I watched a little bit of the movie, but I never finished it, and then they took it off Netflix, so I haven't seen it all the way through. But I watched it all the way through for the first time yesterday or the day before, and I gotta say, great movie, great musical. For the longest time, I might get crapped on for this, but Phantom of the Opera was probably my favorite musical for a very long time, which is a very cliche thing to say. Also like Hairspray and a couple others. But after I saw La La Land, I was like, dang, this is good. So then...
Was that your reaction?
Yeah, that was my reaction. And, yeah, so I gotta say, La La Land is now my favorite musical.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
You know, I'm a pretty big musical buff myself, and
I don't know. You seen Mamma Mia?
No, but
Yeah, exactly.
Very recently a musical has been becoming very popular, and that musical is Hamilton. And I must say that my favorite musical is not Hamilton.
Have you seen Hamilton?
It is Moana.
If I'm...
Yes.
No.
Have you seen Hamilton, though?
No.
Because I know you went to New York about a year ago.
I have not.
I'll be honest. Hamilton has kind of come off as one of those things. You ever when a new movie comes out or something, all your friends are hyping it up, and it just kind of makes it seem lame. Like you don't want to see. Like the inner hipster in you. Like the inner hipster in you is like
mainstream.
yeah.
I'll stick with my vinyl, and we're back in.
yeah. Like the inner hipster in you is like, man, if everybody's overhyping this, there's no way it could be that good, right? So that's kind of how I am about Hamilton. I've never really. I've listened to a couple songs and stuff, but I'm not a big rap guy. I don't enjoy rap music that much. So what I have heard from Hamilton, I'm just not into it. I mean, whatever.
I gotta say that what I have heard from Hamilton, I do enjoy. Again, I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't call it my favorite musical, but I would say that I do enjoy listening to the soundtrack sometimes. But I do believe that out of the three of us, I'm the only one who does enjoy some rap every once in a while.
I mean, I'm not saying... The thing I hate about rap is when it becomes like the cliched style of rap. When like I said earlier, it's just like a heavy bass, a slew of swears. It just becomes repetitive, and I find it just annoying. And I'm not. I've heard Hamilton is really good, and to be honest, if I went to New York, that would probably be one of the musicals I'd want to see. My theater professor, she went to New York and she saw it, and she went to Columbus. It came to Columbus, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was in Columbus, and she said it was, and she was so excited to see it, and she said it was phenomenal. I mean, that kind of thing. I don't have a problem with rap when there's depth to it. And when it's telling a story.
So, just to clear things up, you're saying that Bust Down Thotiana does not have a story?
Well, to begin with, I have no idea what you're referring to with this
God.
quote-unquote busted down Thotiana. Don't know what that is.
All right, Cody.
Enlighten me.
But just heading back to La La Land for a minute before we wrap things up here.
Are you crazy?
Oh my goodness. The good thing about La La Land is me, Landon, and Cody here, we're all. I wouldn't call ourselves like seasoned veterans of music, but we definitely dabble in the arts quite a bit. And the good thing about La La Land is it mixes a lot of like jazz together, as well as like other genres of music. And I'm not like the biggest jazz fan in the world, but I can appreciate good music. So I don't like all jazz, but when there's good jazz that I enjoy, I'll
Tread
sit down.
carefully with what you say.
I'll sit down and I'll enjoy it. But that's a good thing about La La Land is it's just a good little sit down. I wouldn't say you have to focus too hard to know what's going on. The music's really catchy, and it's not too long or too short without getting repetitive and boring.
Overbearing and
Yeah, so I would definitely say La La Land is definitely in my top 10 movies I've seen of all time. Phantom is now my number 2 musical. La La Land's my number 1. Hairspray setting up my number 3. Number 4 and 5. I don't know. Jersey Boys is probably number 4. I don't know about number 5.
Watch out, Watch Mojo. Here we go.
Yeah. Catch me narrating the next Watch Mojo episode. But anyway, this is all we got time for today's podcast, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And our band actually just released a new song. We just released a demo, so it's not fully finished yet, but we're working on that. And we also got a couple other surprises in the works, so keep an eye on the pages, 3 Seconds to Portsmouth, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you.
Morning coffee with the boys. The boys